this ain't going to work. Even if they manage to get 60, 70, 80 people on a plane, all it needs is for one person to stand up, start screaming and throwing themselves around the place. No commercial pilot in the world will take off a plane on that basis. It ain't going to happen. But your key question is, why did he go along with it? Because, he follows the Conservative whip. Edwina followed her whip, I followed my whip, and sometimes, by God, it hurt. It was butter-clenchingly, toe-curningly, tooth-grindingly painful. But you have no alternative, as somebody once said.
Rishi Sunak is in an unenviable position of having to champion a plan he was never really terribly keen on. This comes after leaked correspondence between ministers and officials in 2022 revealed that as Chancellor, Rishi Sunak was less than enthusiastic, I think we can say, about the controversial Rwanda scheme, refusing to sign off on plans to send 1,500 migrants to the African country within the first year. He reduced that to around 500 and also voiced concern that he believed that there was insufficient proof that the policy would deliver the required deterrent effect. And yet now, Edwina, he seems to be all gung-ho. It's one of the big priorities of his government to see those flights take off to Rwanda.
Yeah, well, I'm with the first Rishi, I'm afraid, on this. And I wish that, when Rishi was dishing all sorts of, or getting rid of all sorts of policies that really weren't working very well, like sadly HS2 and a few other things, I hoped he would actually add the sentence at the end of that saying, and yes, we're not actually going to send anybody to Rwanda just yet. We are going to tackle the issue of the small boats in other ways, just as we did when people were on lorries, when people were hitching rides on the ferries. We were able to deal with that, and we know how to carry this forward. And he didn't. It's a deterrent if it works. And it was never going to work, at least not in the short run. It seems to me that Rishi's doubts right at the beginning were the result of careful thought. And Rishi has been kind of pushed into accepting this as a real mainframe policy. And if it doesn't work, that's actually doubly, how shall I put it, doubly incontinent. It's not a great idea on two counts.
Stephen, why do you think that having had the opportunity, as Edwina described there, of he's a new prime minister, never quite believed in the scheme that it would be an effective deterrent. And I think it's also fair to say even the Home Office's own assessment of the Rwanda scheme says there is no clear evidence that it will work as a deterrent. Why do you not think that he couldn't take that opportunity to actually row back from it?
Edwina and I have both been in a slightly unfortunate position that we don't often talk about in politics, is where we've both been on the front bench. And we both had to talk absolute rubbish because that was the policy of our government. We've both been in the situation where the expression is you hold your nose and you vote with the whips.
Right.
We've both been there. There's a thing called collective responsibility that you have to undertake. And to be honest, if you don't have collective responsibility, you have chaos. And if you have chaos, you don't have government, etc. Look, this is really, Edwina is, not for the first time, 100% absolutely right. There's not an airline in the world that's going to fly anybody out there. Anyways, we're going to have to set up our own Rwanda airlines like the CIA did in Vietnam or something. And even if we did do that, do you honestly think we're going to get 30,000 people off to Kigali when at the same time we're accepting people from Rwanda as asylum seekers? But above all, there's a real mixed message here. On the one hand, we're saying that Rwanda is so utterly terrifying that, you will turn round at Cherbourg and Calais and say, I think not. I will not go to Rwanda. It sounds like an absolute hellhole. On the other hand, we're saying this place is safe. It's paradisical. We can sit on the veranda sipping a pina colada, watching the sun go down, having a great old time. It's absolute cobblers. But the key question is that the Conservatives over the past few years have come up with some pretty extraordinary ideas. I think Boris Johnson had an idea of relocating Heathrow Airport onto Maplin Sands or in the middle of the Thames estuary or something, which was quite clearly moon-howlingly absolutely insane. This is on a line with that. Edwina knows, and I think any sane person, anyone who knows, who's ever been to Bryce Norton and actually spoken to a few of the people in the RAF there, will know this ain't going to work. Even if they manage to get 60, 70, 80 people on a plane, all it needs is for one person to stand up, start screaming and throwing themselves around the place. No commercial pilot in the world will take off a plane on that basis. It ain't going to happen. But your key question is, why did he go along with it? Because, he follows the Conservative whip. Edwina followed her whip, I followed my whip, and sometimes, by God, it hurt. It was buttock clenchingly, toe curlingly, tooth grindingly painful. But you have no alternative, as somebody once said.